I mean, I said after the Patriot game, and it was tough because they were on a super short week. They were going to play 4 days later on Thursday, so it might not have been viable. There's no reason not to fire Jason Garrett. And then after the Bills game, when it was a regular week, it was Thursday to Thursday, but regular time, 7 days, said there's no reason not to fire Jason Garrett. And now they actually have an extended week. They've gone from 4 to 7 to 10. Now that you have extra time, and you have another awful performance, and there's no reason not to fire Jason Garrett. This is the definition of an underachieving team. How have you done in close games? Oh, you're 0-5. Games decided by 7 points or less. Have you done against good teams? Oh, you're now 0-6 against teams with a winning record. You're a front-running team that has clearly, there's going to be a narrative today. Maybe the Cowboys aren't that talented.
That's wrong.
It's wrong. That maybe we just, you know how I know they're talented? They have the 10th ranked defense and the #1 offense in football. The #1 offense last year was Kansas City. They had the #1 seed. 2 years ago was New England. They had the #1 seed. 3 years ago was New Orleans. They went 7-9, but they had the 29th ranked defense to go along with it. 4 years ago, the #1 offense was Arizona. They went 13-3. If you have the #1 offense, unless you just have an abysmal defense, Cowboys got 10th ranked defense, you are an excellent team. Unless you can't win close games, you can't make plays in the critical moments, and you constantly get out-schemed by your opponent. Check, check, check. If coaching matters in the NFL, Danny, which I would argue it matters more in the NFL than any of the other major sports as far as head coaching advantages, the Cowboys are at a major disadvantage. Every week they continue with Jason Garrett.
What would your option be, though? Are you going to elevate Rod Marinelli? Are you going to elevate Kellen Moore, John Kitna, like somebody from that staff?
I think I'd elevate Chris Richard, to be totally honest, and let the coordinator stay and elevate Chris Richard.
All right, so if that's the option there, it's not a bad option, but is that the difference maker? And you never know until you do it. I think one of two things need to happen. You either fire Jason Garrett if you're Jerry Jones, or you stop talking to the media and keep this speculation going. Because a couple weeks ago it was, hey, I'm going to try to put pressure on this team and say, you know, losing is unacceptable and I might make changes. Then you come out after Thanksgiving, you say 0% chance I'm making a change. Now you kind of, you know, then during the week he says Jason Garrett's going to coach in the NFL somewhere without endorsing him. Jerry Jones is a part of this problem, too. That's something that doesn't get talked about enough. It is dysfunctional the way he runs this organization, the way he gets involved in a lot of the decision-making, the way he holds press conferences after every single game and gives us all stuff to talk about and adds additional pressure to this team, who clearly is not handling it well right now. So one of those two things are going to happen. I don't think either of them do, though, because what's the point of this game? Is that really going to be the difference if you get rid of Jason Garrett? Is that going to put you over the hump? No,
Probably
his contract's done. Just let it play out. It'll be easy for you. If you're Jerry, it'll be an easy decision to make. That's where I think he's fallen back on. And what happens if? What happens if they do win the NFC East and all this talent puts it together?
But then I want a different coach in place.
If you want that to happen, what if they are able to fight through it? We've seen other teams struggle at times.
If they are able to fight through it, go ahead.
I was going to say at minimum. So here's the thing. I don't think it's if you're NFC East, you're keeping, because that's the worst division in the history of football. I don't think it's if you win a playoff game. I think you have to go to the NFC Championship game to keep Jason Garrett, and then it's there for you. And if he does,
they're drawing dead for. No, right. And my point is because of the talent, if all of a sudden they had an infusion of a great head coach. And I'm not saying we have no idea if Chris Richard would even be an average head coach.
Right.
But I know what Jason Garrett is. At this point, I would take the unknown over the known because what I'm about to show you is unacceptable. The Cowboys points scored, points allowed, yards forced, yards allowed, compared to, I'll just tell you that team is in a moment. They've scored more points. They've allowed fewer points. They have 1,000 more yards on the season. They've allowed fewer yards. Who's the other team? Show me, please. This 10-2 Seattle Seahawks. You know how a team can have scored fewer, allowed more, 1,000 fewer yards, allowed more yards? Because of two people, Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson makes the critical plays in the critical spots, and Pete Carroll always has his team ready to take a punch. Pete Carroll can Jedi mind trick his team into saying, we're going to punt the ball away, crazily, with 1:40 left in overtime, with no timeouts, and we're still going to win this game, boys. And somehow they do. Like, you can't acquire Russell Wilson, but you can change the head coach to hope to find your Pete Carroll.
Well, you were a player. You were in locker rooms. Would a coaching change like this, is this something that can actually galvanize a team? I mean, this is a very talented team that seems like they are fractured right now in the locker room.
They absolutely are. They are the
An
opposite.
unknown commodity and a new head coach for the first time. Could that actually galvanize a team?
It could. It could. I mean, sometimes there's a sense of urgency that needs to be, a change needs to be made to spur something different. The problem is, I think that only adds to the panic level. You mentioned the Seahawks. They are the definition of a clutch football team, and right now the Cowboys are the antithesis of that. Like, I don't even know what the word is for anti-clutch, but they cannot get it done when it matters the most. They're great. First quarter opening drives, they have a scripted set of plays. They go right down the field.
And they haven't even been great with that. That's only the last 2 weeks they've been able to score first.
It is inexplicable how this happens, but I don't think changing a coach is all of a sudden going to rattle the cage and all of a sudden they figure it out and the
I don't
switch
think
comes
it
on.
will either, but I know that the status quo is going to lead to, if they win the division, getting crushed at home by either Seattle, who they could play as a 5 seed.
I don't think that's a done deal. I mean, if you had me put money on a team, I would clearly put those. But what happens if all the stats you give me, top 10 defense, Zeke puts it together? What if he rushes for over 120?
They start off 7-0, get punched in the face and fold. And by the way,
so the usual.
On that comparison, credit to Football Perspective on Twitter, who brought it up last night. I saw it. I thought it was great. So I want to put it on the show. But
all right. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.